This is a massive queen ant, and today we're going to be feeding it to this huge Novomessor colony. Get ready for today's episode because it's going to be a good one. As I showed in last week's episode, these are dozens of queen ants that never shed their wings after their nuptial flight. After queens fly and mate, they will usually break off their wings before they start a new colony, and if they haven't broken them off, it's generally a sign that they're not fertile. Queen ants that are not fertile are not able to start their own colony anyway, so I decided to feed some of them off instead of having them go to waste. As you can see right here, I placed the queen into the Novomessor's outworld and they all started going absolutely crazy. They were all running around, swarming out of the nest because they knew that something was happening and not all of them had detected the queen just yet. By now, there were at least a dozen ants holding on to the queen and pinning her onto the floor. She fell off the little mountain she was on, and more and more ants kept pouring out, trying to secure her. Although you can see that the queen is nearly 5 times larger than the workers of this colony, the sheer numbers of the workers and the strategy and cooperation between them is what's letting them battle this queen effectively and hopefully letting them get their next meal. Being a leafcutter queen, which I fed to the Novomessors, she has absolutely massive jaws which could easily slice any of the workers in half, but they seem to be smart enough to be avoiding her head. They're working on securing her legs and her wings down to the floor in such a way that she is not able to attack any of the workers. Of the colony. I'm always incredibly impressed when I see ants working together like this. Despite only being able to communicate through pheromones, their ability to work as a team is truly amazing. The battle continued for a little while, and eventually the Novomessor won. I came back to check on them a couple of hours later, and this is what I found. The ants had torn the queen to shreds. This was her thorax, which as you can see was separated from the rest of her body, and they cut all of her legs off. This was the only remain of her abdomen I could find.
This is our block, our place, our people. Not having a ride to get the vaccine can't be the reason you don't get it. You want to help? Donate a ride today.
As you can see, the ants picked off every little bit of meat until there was nothing left. In nature, nothing goes to waste. Now you may be wondering, how and why do ants, which are super tiny, consume and need so much protein? The answer is actually surprisingly simple, and you're looking right at it. What you're looking at is a huge pile of larvae and eggs that the queen has been busy laying. Just like how humans, when they work out, they need protein in order to repair their muscles, ants need protein in order to grow their babies. When an egg hatches, it's born as a super tiny larvae, and that's when the workers need to feed the tiny larvae protein in order for them to grow and eventually be able to molt into an adult worker. What you're looking at right here is a living staircase made out of ants. Workers are hanging from the ceiling holding onto pupae, which are larvae that are in the process of turning into adult workers. Worker ants will be constantly moving pupae, larvae, and eggs around the nest in order to get them to the most ideal location possible so they can develop as fast as they can. What you're looking at here is an absolutely massive pile of ant babies. All of these are pupae, and you can see the white ones have recently turned into pupae, and then the darker colored ones, the ones that are sort of tan, are ants that are about to hatch. Right here you can see a worker that just started moving. At first, newly born ants are a little bit clumsy until their exoskeleton hardens and they're able to properly walk, just like the rest of their sisters. The really cool thing about this colony is that it's big enough that it started producing its own winged ants. This right here is a drone, or a male ant with wings, that in the wild would fly out of the nest during nuptials.
Is this stuff for your hands or your dishes? Both.
flight season and mate with queens of other nests. In order to produce winged ants of their own, ant colonies need a lot of protein, which is why we feed them so much. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and be sure to subscribe for next week's because I get stung by one of my bullet ants. I know I was supposed to have this episode ready last week, but I was away from home and couldn't film it. However, next week I'll be back and you guys will be able to see what happens when you get stung by a bullet ant.